Hey love, I'm Gena, a fitness, nutrition, and self-love coach, helping high-achieving women heal their relationship with food and their bodies so they can finally feel free, strong, and confident in their own skin. If you've ever felt stuck in the cycle of restriction, binging, and body shame, trust me, you are not alone. On this podcast, we're calling out diet culture BS, building your dream body without the obsession, and getting real about what it actually means to love yourself in a world that constantly tells you not to. I've been there. Anorexia, binge eating, body hate, you name it, I've lived it. And now I help women just like you find food freedom, feel sexy in their skin, and take their damn power back. So get ready, because the Fit Without Obsession podcast starts now. When I was trapped in food obsession and exercise obsession, I used to swear in the beginning that I really was just being healthy. I was just being disciplined, and I thought if I could control my food and my workouts, my body, then everything else would instantly and automatically feel better. I was praised for my willpower from others, and it was because people thought on the outside I was so motivated. Like, I was told that they aspired to be like that and that they wanted to be more healthful like me. But no one really saw like the deep down truth that I was struggling with, that what I called discipline at the time was actually self-hate. And the truth was that I was really crossing a line every single day without even realizing it. The line between self-respect and self-rejection, between discipline and self-hate. And there is a line that we cross a lot of the times on this journey that most of us don't even realize. You might think that you're being strong when you have these insane fitness goals, right? But what if the thing that makes you feel in control is actually the thing that is keeping you stuck? And I want to go into why this line is so blurry, right? Like the line between discipline and self-hate, because it's really important to decipher the difference here, because a lot of the habits, a lot of the healthful behaviors you might be doing with both of those might be very similar, right? And really this line is blurry because society loves to glorify control, especially when it's done in the name of health. But what we praise as disciplined is often disordered. Clean eating and like the no excuses, like just push harder culture makes obsession look noble. And you're told that the stricter that you are, the more worthy you are. And really this translates to you feeling like discipline and hating yourself is actually a positive thing. When, yes, maybe there is some positive behind discipline, but the way that you're going about it right now, when we're going into that self-hate territory, is not positive. And because of this culture that we've grown up in, you don't even really question this, like until your body, your mental health, and your joy start to unravel. I know for me, when I kind of was facing this place of trying to do healthy habits, trying to do all the things I thought like I quote unquote should do, I was terrified of rest, but people on the outside like told me that was inspiring, like what I was doing and like showing up to the gym twice a day. And I remember turning down meals, and I would have, friends or like people around me like essentially like applaud me for this dedication. And I know that at the time I felt so guilty for eating more than 1,200 calories, but because of the way my plates looked and because I was having lots of fruits and vegetables and good food, everyone told me I was so healthy. And when your worth has always been measured by how in control you are, you stop seeing that control as a prison. Discipline is only healthy when it's rooted in self-respect, not self-rejection. That is literally the biggest point that I want to get across to you guys here, is that, I don't want to go into this like hate tangent of discipline. I feel like I'm very disciplined, right? I have to be very disciplined to own my own business. I'm disciplined because I have to push through like those hard days where motivation's maybe lacking in the gym, but like we want to make sure we're not taking it too far, right? And so I want to go into the signs that you have really crossed the line and you might be leaning more into that area past the line of self-hate. These habits can look healthy on the outside, the ones I'm about to go into, but they feel very heavy on the inside. If you're feeling guilt, fear, or shame around your habits, it's time to check the motivation behind the habit. So not actually what you're doing, but like what is the driving factor here? If you're not sure whether you've crossed the line, these are some of the signs I missed for me personally, and maybe you'll recognize them too. So sign number 1 is that you feel anxious when you miss a workout. Not just disappointed, but you literally feel like you failed. You also might say no to foods you love, even when you're craving them, because you're scared to lose control. You can't eat without thinking about how you're going to earn it or burn it off later. You track everything just to maybe be aware, have some sense that like you're on track, but it feels like life or death if you can't track. Your routines feel mandatory and not supportive, and it ends up with you spiraling if your food or workout plan gets interrupted. You feel good when you're shrinking and bad when you're not. So we're kind of equating our worth to the scale or some image that we're seeing in the mirror. Discipline can actually fuel you, but when we're coming from a place of self-hate, that really drains you. And if your habits leave you feeling panicked, punished, or never enough, it's not discipline anymore. And I want you to know that, again, discipline can be a healthy thing. So I want you to investigate what discipline can look like when it actually is healthy. And that is that it's flexible. It's not a rigid thing. It's also chosen, and it's not forced out of fear. It's based on care for yourself and not punishment. Discipline really honors your whole self when it's in a positive light, not just your body. And just like I talk about in Fit Without Obsession, my one-on-one coaching program, like you want to be in a place with food and fitness that literally lights up your life, that helps you feel like you can enjoy yourself, that lifts you up. So when discipline is in a healthful way, it builds your life up. It doesn't shrink it down. True discipline doesn't silence your hunger or your rest or your joy. It really makes space for all of them. And maybe you're hearing these things and you're understanding and recognizing like, wait, maybe I have crossed the line and that's why I feel so miserable. That's why I feel so lost. That's why I feel so down and hard on myself every single day I wake up, even though I'm like maybe following healthful habits and showing up and doing the things I thought I should do. So let's go into 7 tangible ways that you're going to shift from the self-hate that you're feeling to actually finding that self-respect. We're not swinging from obsession to chaos. We're actually going to choose something between, which is self-trust. And these are small but powerful mindset shifts that really are going to help you rebuild discipline with compassion at the same time. And the first thing that I want you to do is ask anytime that you're doing something, like, what's the motivation, not what's the behavior. So instead of sitting there and asking, was this healthy? Did I eat the right thing? What's that maybe the wrong thing? Am I doing the right things? Like, ask, like, why did I do it? Discipline fueled by self-love feels completely different than discipline driven by shame or fear. Again, you need to ask yourself, is this action that I'm doing coming from love or from fear? Would I still do this action if I already felt enough? This can really help you discern whether your choices are empowering or punishing. So maybe you said no to birthday cake. And, that might actually be a very toxic thing. If you wanted the cake, if you're afraid of all foods fitting, if you feel like you have to say no, that could be unhealthy for you to say no to the cake, right? But in another instance, in a maybe more healthful place, you say no to the cake because you already feel satisfied for the day. You had a really big dinner. You're feeling like pretty stuffed. You're feeling content, and you're not actually even wanting that cake. You know that would actually maybe hurt your stomach at this point. So in that sense, why did you do that? You did it because you were taking care of your body. You were making sure that you felt in a good place. Right? I just had a client that just went on a trip and her friend had ordered her some food really late at night after a concert, and she actually didn't eat the food. And it wasn't because that she felt like she couldn't have it. She actually ate so many things guilt-free on this trip. She literally embraced all food. She wasn't tracking. She was just living her best life. But she knew that if she ate that food in the moment, she would feel really sick in the morning, going to bed with such a full stomach. So that's a really big thing that we need to start doing, is understanding why are we operating from the place that we're operating. The second thing that we can shift is stop punishing your hunger. This is so big, and this is one that we could probably spend a whole episode talking about, but hunger has such a bad rep. I feel like we have been told from any person trying to lose weight that's online and posting, or us going on this venture with food and healthful habits, we start to think that hunger is a bad thing. If we give into our hunger, we're going to binge, or we're going to overeat, or, we're gross for being hungry. And really, honestly, hunger is really a biological habit of your body to tell you when it needs food. And your body needs food for energy. So we can really simplify that, right? So really, we need to eat when you're hungry without trying to push it off or earn it. And that's really suppression. When we push it off, when we don't give into it, that's not strength. Trusting your hunger is actually healing. Pushing past hunger doesn't make you stronger. It makes you more disconnected from your body. And every time you honor your hunger, you actually build self-trust. So you know that if you're hungry in the morning, first thing for breakfast, you don't need to save your calories up for later. You know if you give into that hunger, you give yourself a really filling meal, you're going to actually end the night feeling satisfied, and you're not going to be like, elbow deep in a bag of chips by the end of the night, not being able to stop. The third shift that we could start to make is swap guilt for curiosity. So if you didn't follow the plan, I want you to ask yourself, what did I need in that moment? Because if we sit there and we get mad that we maybe ate more than we wanted to, or we didn't do whatever habit that we were trying to follow through on, we can't sit there and be guilty about it, because that's going to keep you stuck in shame. When we're curious, it actually is going to give you the power and the choice to move forward. The fourth shift that I want you to start working through is start resting on purpose. Actually build it into your week. It's a non-negotiable appointment. It really is. It is non-negotiable. Rest is not earned. It is essential. Rest isn't what you get when you've done enough. It's what you need so that you can show up and be your best. So I actually want you to literally try scheduling in rest days like you would workouts. Put them in your calendar. I know for me, I'm going to make sure that if I have rehearsal on the weekend, or, I have some extra activities, maybe I'm hiking over the weekend where I typically have rest days, I'm going to make sure that I'm putting a rest day another place, right? Because I know that I'm going to need that. My body's going to need that to feel good. We need to let go of earning downtime. You never have to earn downtime. I actually find that most of us don't get enough downtime. We're always in overdrive all of the time. And another shift, the fifth shift I want you to start utilizing, is adding back in the joy. This is because you don't really have to suffer to earn results. I know it might feel like that. I know up until this point, you feel like that's been the only approach that you've ever seen and only followed. But the more that you actually enjoy what you're doing, the more consistent you're going to be. And you're also not going to be stuck in that shame spiral. So that's way more motivating and way more influential for you to actually stick to something. Ask yourself, what if movement actually feels fun? I know that you probably don't know what that feels like right now. Or maybe, you don't know what food feels like when you actually feel satisfied. But those things are possible. You can have fun with movement. You can feel warm and satisfied from within when you eat. Discipline without joy is just you putting yourself in a cage and literally being miserable. And I want you to ask yourself, what movement actually feels good to you? Because some people swear by Pilates, right? Some people swear by strength training or hiking or swimming or whatever it is. Guess what? I love strength training. I will try to push everyone to do strength training because I think there's so many benefits. But at the end of the day, if you fucking hate strength training, there are other things that you can do. You could be a Pilates queen. You could go to yoga. You could be a yogi girl. As long as you're finding movement that is good for your body and your soul, that's what matters most. And I also want you to ask yourself too, what food makes you feel nourished and satisfied? Because if you're not incorporating those foods, then no wonder that we're feeling constantly hungry. No wonder we're wanting to binge all the time. No wonder we're having these struggles with food. The sixth shift that we really need to make is set a boundary with your inner bully. Because when that voice says you're lazy, you're failing, you're not enough, that doesn't mean that it's true. I want you to sit there and pause and breathe and say, no, that's not how I speak to myself anymore. When that mean voice pops up, you need to say, that's not helpful. I'm not available for that today. You don't have to believe every thought you think. That's a big statement right there. I feel like I got to say that again. You don't have to believe every thought you think. Just because you think it does not mean that you have to act on it, does not mean that it's true. Our brains, yes, maybe a lot of the times they're trying to look out for us, but sometimes they don't always have our best interests at heart. We have to make sure that we are tuning into our soul to find that. And the seventh shift that we can make to really get away from the self-hate and build more self-respect is celebrate self-respect the way that you used to celebrate restriction. So if you skip the gym to sleep in, maybe you actually ate a cookie without spiraling, that's growth. That's actually healing. That's the new kind of discipline that we're here for. Healing is saying yes to pizza without punishment. Healing is skipping the gym because your body asked you to. Healing is choosing progress over perfection. That's what we get to celebrate now. And now that we've gone through these shifts, now that you know these actual tangible steps that you can take, I want you to redefine discipline for yourself. That is the end goal. So let's rewrite what discipline means to us together. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into a box. It's about showing up with love for the future version of you without, this is key, abandoning who you are right now. Again, that healthy discipline is possible. I don't want to say that's not the point of this episode, that we shouldn't be disciplined. Healthy discipline comes from alignment and not fear. It also leaves room for flexibility and joy. So like maybe, yes, you hit the gym like 5 days a week, most weeks. But guess what? If you're going on vacation, it's okay to miss that. And like we shouldn't feel bad about that, right? So having that flexibility. Healthy discipline is rooted in consistency, not perfection. So you don't need to put this pressure on yourself to be perfect in every single thing that you do, because it's just not attainable. It's not going to happen. But that as soon as we can release that need to be perfect, the more that we're going to actually still show up for ourselves. Healthy discipline feels expansive and it doesn't feel suffocating. You really can actually be consistent without being cruel to yourself. I know you maybe haven't experienced it before, but I have experienced it. So many of my clients have experienced it. Many other women out there have, and it's possible for you. I want you to know that it is possible. And if you're listening to this and you realize like you have crossed the line, right, between that discipline and self-hate, I want you to know it's not your fault. You weren't wrong for wanting to be disciplined. Like it's okay. Again, I feel like I'm a disciplined person. I actually think that could be a great quality. It's when we go over that line that we need to really address this. And with you trying to be disciplined, you just weren't taught how to love yourself through it. But now you get to shift. You get to build a version of health that's rooted in care, not control. And you don't have to do it alone. This is actually the exact kind of work that we do inside my new group program, Fed Up to Free. It's going to be launching early September, where we untangle the obsession and rebuild trust from the inside out. And I actually have a waitlist open. And right now, if you sign on to that waitlist, you're going to be the first and actually the only to receive an exclusive early bird discount. And you can even get into the program sooner than the start date in September so that we can start working on this stuff now. So if you're interested, there's no obligation to join that waitlist. It's just going to make sure that I give you the information as soon as it's available and I can send it out to you. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead and head to my Instagram at @thefitbean_. I definitely have the link in my bio, but also you could just shoot me a DM if it's easier and just DM me literally waitlist. And, any takeaways that you got from this episode too, just so that I can help you as much as I can on this journey. I love connecting. And I want you to know that you don't have to fully give up this discipline moving forward. We just really do need to give up the self-hate, because there's another way to approach this. Thank you so much for tuning into the Fit Without Obsession podcast. If this episode helped you heal, grow, or just feel a little less alone, go ahead and hit the follow button so that you never miss a moment of this journey. And if you loved it, share it on your stories and tag me at @thefitbean_. I seriously love seeing what resonates. Sharing this podcast helps more women step out of a session and into their power. And that ripple effect starts with you. And if you're ready for deeper support, check the show notes for ways that we can work together. Just remember, eat the pasta, wear the shorts, and love the hell out of your life. You deserve it always. Talk soon.